Okay, so the equity index not giving us much directional bias, other than the fact that it's consolidating horizontally here, which I still think is an internal wave 3 of this current leg up here, which is going to be resolved to the upside, and then we will get some retracement. So sideways to up on the equity. If we look at the oil index, then the oil so far has actually retraced, and it's difficult to know whether the retracement is complete, or are we now expecting a further setback. So far this part of the waves here appear to be overlapping, so that is definitely corrective, but this thrust up looks relatively strong, and whether that will actually achieve a new high or whether it will simply be part of an overall correction still declining to the downside, we won't know for sure, but I am expecting that if the equity is trading sideways, then maybe this one has corrected to the downside, and we will probably finish up with this current new leg up here, achieving possibly a new higher high, and in which case we would have to revisit, as I was saying previously, that we would need to reconsider these waves here, and it's quite possible that we may, instead of an A, this was some kind of a complex wave 1, and then ABC as a wave 2, and then this is the part of a wave 3, this one is 4, and in which case we are now making a progress to the upside. So it would appear from the oil that we are still heading, still got potential for the upside there. Okay, so not conclusive, but I think maybe we have retraced enough and we are making a new leg higher, so that would then correspond with the equity index. We were still saying that is sideways to upside bias, but not as clear as we would like to have. So with that in mind, with not quite clear certainty, we'll look at the dollar index. Now in the weekend, when I reviewed this one, what I did was I gave you these two possible outcomes. One was that we are in a triangle and we are at the uppermost over here, and that will result to the downside, and therefore I've labeled them as capital A, B, C, D, and currently trying to finalize a wave E. Now if somehow the dollar index managed to get any more upside, then the triangle would fail, and in which case we have a flat correction, and in a flat correction we would have A, B and C as one zigzag for wave A, and then we would have A, B and C as a wave B, again a zigzag, and we are now in a wave C, so that would be the second one. So in other words, over here, if we have an alternative to this triangle not working and going up, then we would most likely go up like so. Let me just change the color of that one to a blue color, and we would make a new high over here. So we would go back and retest that. So those are the two outcomes. One, the preferred one is that it is in a triangle and that we should see dollar index turn back, and if the dollar index turn back, then we know the oil is already heading up and the equity will probably start pushing up also, and we may not clear this triangle right away. We might actually come down. For example, this might come back to the trend line and then possibly make a small retracement and then finally start heading down. So if that triangle plays out, then we are very close to the uppermost end of that triangle. If however we get the dollar index running up, then as I said, we will get a flat correction, and flat correction would be from the September we get ABC as the first part, ABC down as a wave B, and then we're coming into wave C, and in which case we'll get a 5-wave correction if it is a flat correction. If you look at the actual climb so far, it's not very strong, and it's not very clear that it's a 5-wave. So I think I am leaning on this triangle holding. And so far, if you can see on the RSI from the low here, is that we've got wave A, then we got possibly some kind of a sideways correction, or wave A and B, and then all of this as a part of C. So we've got 1, 2, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, and currently trying to finish up the 5. And if I look at it in any smaller time scale, then it appears that we may finish up here with some kind of a rising wedge as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, almost done. If it's not complete, it will be complete fairly soon. So if that's the case, then possibly dollar will start weakening tomorrow, and then we might start getting everything strengthening against the dollar. Now that is on the basis that the triangle holds. If the dollar really start making a run from here, which I don't think it is, because look at the RSI, there is on hourly chart we do have quite a noticeable divergence. If we look at the 4 hour, then again we have a divergence on 4 hour. So my feeling, and then also if you look at the actual upthrust here, you can see that this one I've labeled as wave A and B, and I'm not completely sure whether that should be A and this should be B, or whether that should be A and then somehow we have a flat correction and that should be B. So it's not really that important, but the very fact that this is A and B in this area, and then if this here is a wave C, whereas normally you expect this as 1, 2, and 3, and the 3 should be strong and bigger than this one, generally speaking. And if you look at the RSI is actually giving confirmation that is not a very strong thrust in the wave 3. So my feeling is that we probably won't find this triangle break to the upside, so we will probably hold the triangle, I think, and on that basis I'm expecting dollar to start weakening certainly later on tomorrow. Probably, tomorrow might actually form a final top. That could be possible. It could make a final top. It has a room to run a little bit. It doesn't have to be absolutely exactly here. 78% retracement will take it to 80.44 or 80.5, and at the moment on my chart here it reads at 80.35. So there is a bit of room to run to the upside, but not immensely amount. And the RSI is beginning to diverge. So the dollar index should be weakening, and if that weakens, then of course everything else against the dollar will start appreciating. So we were going to look at the pound pair first of all. So let's go on to that first, and then we'll come back to a couple of other pairs in a moment. Now you have you've had quite a few times my explanation about why I think pound should find a bottom fairly soon, and if it did, then the pound will start rallying against some of the currencies, and in particular against the US dollar. So if we look at this euro pound so far, then it appears that the euro pound in this rising fairly narrow, clean defined trend channel appears like it's done from here, which is the wave 2 in double parenthesis. It's gone up there in wave 3 in double parenthesis, and it's come down in A, B, and C. So maybe that was a wave 4, and we probably are now on our way up to make a final leg up. So it's possible that as far as the euro pound is concerned, if the retracement is complete, we should be looking for a new leg to the upside to form a final leg, and that leg would, if you look at it on a larger time scale on a daily chart, then we would have from here as a wave 1 there, wave 2, and we are in currently wave 3, and within that wave 3 we have done what, like 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, I think. So we will finish up, and then also on the daily chart you'll see we'll get a divergence on the daily. So currently looks like the euro pound is still pressing up, so euro is still stronger than the pound in that manner of speaking, and we may get a high around 87, if you keep a round number of 87.50 to possibly 88 area, which is where I think this current leg up will finish. So we'll finish with wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4 and wave 5, and that will complete one final sequence of 5 waves to the upside, and then we should expect a reasonable retracement. So for the time being, I think we are still heading up as far as the euro pound is concerned, and and also the other thing is that we may actually not even make a new high. What might happen is that we might get this from the bottom, we might get 5 waves completing, almost just reaching this previous high, and therefore it would appear like a failed wave 5. So failed wave 5 can stop short of that or just barely retest that. So that's also a possibility, in which case we'll see euro pound topping out around 87 and then making a retracement. So if we look at pound Swissy, then pound Swissy in a like manner, possibly we had a wave 1 and 2, and then we are in a wave 3, and in that wave 3 we got 1, 2, this one completing 3, this one 4, and we've already started on our way down. So I don't know whether that 4 is complete, but if you look at the actual, say on a 4-hour chart here, it might appear like this is wave A, wave B and wave C. So either complete or will complete soon and then start coming down. So there may be a slight lag or slight a difference in the correlation, but if this is complete, then we've started, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, so we'll start making our way down, and like the euro pound, we might simply come back to retest the low. So this here could be the wave 4. So euro pound and pound Swissy appear to be in a very similar state of affairs, looking to complete the 5 wave move fairly soon here. And in terms of the pound Swissy, my wave count here that I've labeled could be a little bit different than the way they're appearing on the euro pound. The euro pound I think is reasonably more accurate, whereas on a pound Swissy I have always struggled in this area really to put a definitive wave count on it. But because we are not trading this particular currency pair, we could use the one that is more clearer. So euro pound is the one that appears to be a bit more clearer than this one, and in particular in here, during this area here, is where I am totally confused, because I cannot find any decent way of actually putting the labels on. So all these labels on here are somewhat tentative, with exception of the fact that this is definitely wave 3, because in all of these sequences there is nothing as strong and long with that kind of momentum as this one here. So this is some kind of a wave 3. So over here, whichever way we label it, it might be, say for example 1, then we got A, B and C, in which case the running flat. So maybe then what we would find is what I've labeled here, 1 and 2 might not be 1 and 2, and that actually might make a bit more sense. So this one here is wave 1 and this one is a wave 2. So just a comment about my voice breaking. I do apologize for this. This appears to be the problem with WebEx. I don't know why. I have had that kind of issues before as well, both in the session that I have attended for other people hosting WebEx platform, and same with the one that I have used in the past. They've also had a problem, but the only one consolation is that I'm doing recording on my PC like I've done before, and I will be willing, or not willing, but able to post this one both on a Dropbox and also on YouTube, where if you have a Gmail account or a Google Mail account, then you should be able to access my YouTube uploaded videos, which will probably be even clearer, I think, than the Dropbox. So let me proceed and just continue, and I do apologize and ask you to just bear with me. I'm using this WebEx for the next few days to just wait until any meeting resolve their problem, and then we'll see whether we go back to any meeting or whether we actually completely explore another option. So anyway, let me continue. So maybe over here to synchronize with the euro pound, it may be that we've got this as a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4 and wave 5. So maybe then that would look very similar to what we've got on the euro pound. So for the time being, that's I think what I will do. Okay, so we are still looking for retest of the low or another minor low, just like euro pound, to make a retest of the high or another minor high. So that's the pound Swissy, pound Canada. Now this is one of the pair we are looking to possibly trade if trade lines up in the way that we're expecting, and we're expecting pound to bottom out soon, and this one we are now finding it's coming to complete its final leg, but the wave count is a little bit different in here in this particular sense. For example, we had wave A, B and C. So this is what it looks like. So all of this here is A, B, C zigzag to complete wave A, ABC back to complete wave B, and then we are looking for some kind of an ABC zigzag. So if you look at this one, it looks rather complex, and I think what it might be is that all of this might be A and this might be B, in which case we are coming back for a C. So it looks very unusual, and it's even more unusual in a couple of other papers. Certainly this one, we've got wave A here. So this B would probably appear over there, okay, and in which case we might have this A, this as a B, and this one as a C. So then we get a cross like a running flat, and we are now looking for a retest of this low here. Okay, so we're looking for a retest of the low, which is where we will find our potential long entry will line up. And this one, when you look at it, it could be that this is possibly like a B. This one, I thought it might look like a falling wedge, but I don't think it is. So it probably is more like a A and then B and then ABC. So that gives us, anyway, I think it's a sideway. This one is basically, what I'm saying is a flat correction, but it's a running flat because it is correcting in the direction of the market. So we're expecting this pound to form a bottom in the region of 155 or 155.50, somewhere in that area. Retest the low or another minor lower low would complete the down move, and we should be looking for potential long entry if we think we want to trade pound Canada. If we find pound Canada to be unsuitable pair because of its volatility, then we might be able to use this one to confirm our trade in one of the other pound pair. But definitely it's working our way into the territory, and it might well be that sometime this week it may form the bottom we are looking for. Okay, on the daily we are beginning to have a divergence. We've got divergence in 4 hour, So I think it's getting very close. So we'll continue to monitor that and see if the trade lines up. So that's pound Canada. Pound Aussie is very similar sort of state, and again we've got possibly looking at this last piece here, this is 1 2 3 and then 4 and 5 finishing there to give us a wave A in bracket, wave B in bracket, but maybe this wave in B in bracket should actually be over here, because I think then what we've got is we've got A and I've tried to put a labels on this ones, but it may be that these labels are not correct either somehow, because I don't think this bottom, if this was correct labeling, then we would have A, B and C, with the C being 1 2 3 4 and 5, but the pound Canada, we found that it was a like a running flat. So maybe over here what we might have is we might also have this here as A, B and C, in which case we've got like what I'm suggesting now. But either way, we're basically looking for this leg to complete a bottom in this area. So either the pound New Zealand has a bottom, or we will see a new leg down here, and that's where we will be looking to consider a long entry in that region. And so we are going to continue for monitoring this and expecting a low in this region here. Okay, low in that region, and then when we consider the daily chart, we'll get a clear divergence in the daily, which will be separated not just by a day, but at least 4 or 5 days, 6 days or so, and that would be a good confirmation of a divergence. We definitely have a divergence on the 4-hour already developing, so that will help us to confirm our long entry, and they will be quite substantial long-term entry when we start looking at them. So we just need to wait until we get the correct entry lining up on the pound New Zealand, and then in a similar way we will also have an entry in the pound against the dollar. But just before we go, we look at the pound yen. The pound yen has got a different dynamic, and it looks like it is in this final stage here, trying to complete the last leg. So we'd be looking for here we've got possibly this as leg 1, wave 2, wave 3, this retracement 4, and we are now trying to put a final top in, where I think this, we thought we had a top, but it's not, and is I think extending a little bit. So we're expecting a new higher high in this respect, and this is 1, this is 2. If this is 3, then we had a 4, and we're looking for 5, so we could well be looking for 148. It's actually very close to that 148, and if you look at it on a daily, you see we've got clear divergence on the daily. So most of these yen pairs are in very similar state. They've got a divergence at several degrees, and it's just the very last piece of last kind of a wave that will need to be completed before we expect reasonable retracement. So for the time being, pound yen still got further upside, and I suspect most of the other yen pairs will have some more upside respectively, but it is getting to the extent where it's getting very close. I think 148 to 148.50 probably, as an outside, probably 150 area. Other than that, I think I'm looking for 149.50. okay, 149.50. So let's see. So then we would expect the retracement. So on the pound, and particularly if we find yen begin to strengthen against most of the other currencies, then the pound will also pull back, as will most of the other yen pairs also. So let us now have a quick look at the pound dollar chart. So in the pound dollar chart, we were expecting, after having bottomed in June, that we moved up in A, B and C as a capital wave A, then we moved down A in parentheses, B in parentheses and C in parentheses, which is almost like expanded flat, which hopefully you know by now. And usually in expanded flat you get wave A is a zigzag, wave B is a zigzag, and then wave C is a 5-wave move. So if you're looking at that as a 5-wave move, then I think you can agree with me that this is clearly wave 1, ABC back up as a wave 2, this one as a wave 3, and I think what we've got since then is we were looking at this part here being 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, but it's not turned up like that. So I think what we have is this is a running flat correction. So in a running flat you find that you get ABC zigzag, but instead of doing an ABC like A, B and C like that, it does a flat correction, but it's slanted toward the direction of the trend. So here, for example, I think we have wave A, then we got ABC down as a wave B, and then we've gone back up as ABC up there. Okay, so hopefully when that's finished, and it may even be, if it's running flat, it may even be 5 waves. There's a one, small 2, small 3, 4 and 5 possibly. But regardless of that, we're expecting now to form a 5-wave to the downside to complete this move, and we will probably make a low around 156, but it can go a little bit further than that. If we look at the 4-hour chart, then you can see here from the top you go 1 and 2. We're working on a wave 3, which is nearly complete. So for example, wave 3 can come down here and then maybe make another retracement, wave 4, and then one final move down to complete 5. So if I take these ones off here, we can see what I mean. Okay, so we got wave 1, wave 2, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 as it were, which will be completing soon. So that will complete a wave 3, retracement 4, and then coming back for wave 5, and then hopefully that will line up in the area we are looking for potential bottom. On the daily chart, we have a potential divergence forming, and so as well on the 4-hour chart. So we have a bit more weight. Maybe I think later in next couple of days we should be able to see the dollar bottoming out. Okay, so that's a pound dollar, and then quickly we look at the Canadian dollar. On the Canadian dollar, we're expecting another high. We will be looking for divergence on the price, and therefore RSI is suggesting potential divergence developing on the daily chart, but we need a price to go back and retest the high or make another minor higher high. So from that perspective, I think there's still a further upside on the dollar part of the dollar, or we may be very, very close. Here, for example, you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, we've retraced into 4, so we're just looking for one final push up to maybe parity, it will be like a 1.01 or thereabout, and we should then complete that retracement to the upside and then start correcting. Now if that's what we did, then as I said, the dollar index has a bit more chance to run to the upside and then turn back. So in which case we would find that this one will line up for a reversal to the downside, and likewise the pound will be almost ready to bottom out against the dollar, and then most likely some of the other currency pairs also. So the next one is a euro. So in the euro, this is the overall daily chart, and I'm expecting that we're going to get this retracement. Either retracement going to complete in the area of 133.30 or so, or we might go up a little bit and come back down and then go up. Remember, the dollar index still has a chance to go up a little bit. So what we might find in a shorter term is that we've got possibly A, B, and we're looking for C, and within the C we have 1, 2, possibly 3, 4 and 5, so that could complete ABC. We might get, so in other words, if I was to say let me just change this one to just make a normal A, normal B, and then in that case this one here could be normal C, i.e. creating ABC in bracket, ABC in bracket, and then we have ABC in bracket, then we'll get a small retracement and another leg down. So if you look at that on a daily chart, sorry, let me just go back. So if you look at that on a daily chart, then we will complete A, B and C, and on a 4-hour we need a small correction, then a retracement back up. Probably like if everything worked out, then based on just looking at it on eyeballing the chart, then potentially what we have is we have from the bottom here, we have going back up to about 134.50 I think, and then another leg down, and that would then complete the ABC correction to the downside, and we would then go start making a new leg to the upside there. Okay, and just to confirm that, then if we cross check that with the other index, for example, see this one, this particular chart here is okay, this chart here is a Spanish index, Spanish equity index, and you can see that the green and yellow is a euro, and in general there is a reasonable good correlation between them. Sometimes one of them begins to lead and the other one follows. So here, for example, we had a situation where euro topped out first, euro made the high first, the Spanish index came down and went and made another high over here. This is on the basis of a closing price chart on the Spanish index, and then we had the euro come down A, B and C, it would seem, and the Spanish index did the same. You go 1, 2, currently 3, I think this is retracement 4, and then will probably come down to form a final correction, or this here is A, B and C. So both of them suggesting there is a further downside. So if the Spanish one, for example, has 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, then what the Spanish index will do is it will come down to complete a wave 5 like so, then it would go back up in ABC, and then it will do another leg down, and that's what we are basically expecting from the euro to do. Euro to also come down, go back up, partly retrace the decline, and then do another leg down. So that's what the Spanish index is showing. And likewise, if you go on to the German index, that's the DAX, then we have the same sort of situation on there. On there we have already, it would seem that the German index has done wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4 and wave 5 to finish off with wave A, ABC retracement wave B, and we will probably find another leg down. And the euro is doing the same. Euro has done A, B and C. So wave A is doing a retracement, and the retracement is getting rather complex in a sense. So you go to A, B and C, for example. So you know, we could find a euro would do a bit more chopping up. Eventually it will be ready to start coming down there, but it's got a possibility of climbing up a little bit to complete this partial retracement of the decline. So euro could easily get up to 134.50 area, and then possibly make a second leg down, and that second leg down will allow the dollar index to finish off its current high, and then the dollar index will start doing lower low and lower high, and the euro will start going back up to form the final leg. So that to some extent completes the charts or the currency pairs we were going to consider. So I will just quickly go over the Euro Aussie pair because we are currently trading that one and we are still long on that one there. Euro Aussie. Okay, so Euro Aussie so far, remember wave 3 has a tendency to extend. I'm not completely certain whether, for example, we're going to find that almost immediately or whether that's going to develop sometime in the future. But based on the RSI here, we had a wave 1 here, in one in bracket, then we had A, B and C as it were for a zigzag, and then it's like a sideways correction. So in fact the wave 2 lines up over here. So if you look at the chart, then on the chart we have wave 1 and wave 2 there. So we are currently in the process of wave 3, and wave 3, remember, will be strong. It will be longer and stronger than this one. So I think what we're going to find here is this rally to the upside is actually first part of the wave 3, and in that we will probably finish with 1 and 2. Then this part here, I think what we have there is possibly this moving up. So this one looking for wave 3. This here is an A, B, C down. So A, B, C could be like a little triangular shape here, and that happens in a wave 4. So this here should be wave 4 there. So we are now going to be making a new leg to the upside. So in that case, once this 5-wave sequence is finished, so we've got 1, 2, 3, triangular 4, and then 5. So once that finished, this entire move will be just one wave, and therefore, whilst we might think that this was wave 2, so this will be 3, but most likely if this one really develops, what will probably happen is we'll see that 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 to complete a wave 1 in double parenthesis, and then we'll continue to. So eventually, if you look at in a daily chart, what we will see is in fact this forming wave 1, this one 2, then we'll get 3, 4 and 5, which is where this wave 3 will actually come up, and then it will look proportional because this was wave 1, this was 2, so wave 3 will be a lot bigger and longer than that. So I think the Euro Aussie, we should be still long, and have your stops adjusted so that it is just below this low here, and in fact we will be looking for this next leg up. So once this next leg up comes in, we'll be looking for possible top forming around 132 area to 132 to 133, and maybe at that stage the 5-wave sequence will complete, and therefore we should be looking perhaps to consider, either partly exiting some of the position with a view of adding it back on a retracement, and then leaving the core position running. So on the RSI, as you see, at the moment we do have a potential divergence forming on the 4-hour, and if you look at it in the daily, we may also get the same. If, for example, RSI, the price makes new high, then RSI probably failed to confirm, then you can see we will have a divergence forming even on the daily chart also. So I think on the next thrust up and the next high, if we get to the point where we have a 132 to 133 area, we should be looking possibly to start looking at partially exiting. On this daily chart, I've got this trend lines going up, which connects this low and this low here, and in fact we might find that if it continues higher, we may even get this next leg up might even be, relatively long also. It might not be just here, but the fact that we are getting divergence, I think we'll probably find an intermediate top around 132 to 133. Okay, so I think that is all for the time being. I do apologize for the problem we've had with the webinar with WebEx. I'm not entirely happy with them, but we don't seem to have a lot of options available at the moment. I hope the any meeting, which I think was reasonably running well, resolve the situation, and we'll go back to that. Otherwise, we may have to consider something else. So I ask you please to just bear with me for that, and hopefully any inconvenience will probably be made up by the recording I will post out shortly, which will be posted in the Dropbox and in the YouTube. Okay, so I don't know if there's any other questions or comments. Okay, Rizwan saying the voice is breaking up. I realize that. As I say, I have attended WebEx webinar from other people running the session on a WebEx, and there have often been voice breaking down, and I think that is probably because of the way the WebEx platform runs and the way it uses the bandwidth, and that is why the WebEx do suffer. So I'm not really very keen on it. I've only taken this as a short-term measure. So let me just stop the recording first so it doesn't go on